making sure that Mike's nose is facing directly up, we are going to lean his head slightly to the left while compressing on the shoulder. And I like to let my clients know to take a nice deep breath once again. And release. And that is the stretch for the scalene muscle. For our next stretch, we're going to move on to the pectoralis major. And this is the pectoralis major 1 out of 3 stretch that we're going to go over today. The muscle actions for the pectoralis major is medial rotation of the shoulder, shoulder adduction, flexion of the extended shoulder. Once again, we will have the client supine for this technique. And the therapist should stand at the side of the client's head, bringing the client's shoulder into a 90-degree abduction. Elbow should also be 90-degree flexion. Support the elbow with the inside hand. Place the outside hand on the client's antebrachium. Push the client's arm towards the floor. Add a small amount of lateral rotation for the stretch. So, we're going to take the client's arm. And just go ahead and relax your arm for me, Mike. I'm going to support the arm with my inside hand. My left hand will be on the forearm or antebrachium. I am going to ask the client to please, Mike, go ahead and move closer to this side of the table for me. There you go. Now that we have the arm, we are going to, once again, ask Mike just kind of release the arm, relax the arm, just like that. And while pushing down, supporting the forearm while I'm doing this, I'm doing a slight lateral rotation with the arm. And as you can see, I'm not using my arms to move the client's arm. I'm using my entire body, legs primarily, in association with my upper extremities. And that's for the pectoralis major right here. You can probably feel it all the way into the shoulder right here. So that's the stretch for the pectoralis major. And for our stretch for the pectoralis major 2, we are going to stretch, but with this one we want to be mindful of a contraindication that's very important in any stretch is doing with the arm joint, and that is any client with a previous dislocation of the shoulder should have should not do the stretch. So for this technique, we're going to have the client supine on the table, and once again, I've asked Mike to move closer to the side of the table, which he's done, and I'm going to stand at the side. And this is similar to the stretch on pectoralis major 1, with one big difference, or subtle difference, I should say. We are going from a 90-degree angle to a 135-degree angle. And the difference in this slight deviation is going to be a different part of the pectoralis major, a different area of it. And I'm going to lean in, being mindful of my body mechanics, and moving my body as a whole. We're going to do rotation, small rotation, while pushing down to the floor. You feeling that there, Mike? Okay. And release.
Can I take you home?
I hear that a lot. All right. So let's move on to the deltoid muscle. Deltoid muscle, very important. You'll have a lot of people come in and say, I pulled my rotator cuff, I've strained my rotator cuff, But it's very important to understand that the rotator cuff is made up of 4 muscles, and the deltoid being a very important one of those. So what I'm going to ask Mike to do is naturally look to the left, lying your head over. And I'm going to drape this arm over. And when doing this stretch, I like to make sure that the client's hand is sort of in sync for where his shoulder is. And I'm going to come from the side, preparing my body mechanics properly, and lean into the stretch. And Mike, you should feel that through here in the shoulder joint, deltoid muscle. Does that feel about right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm just going to hold for about 30 seconds. Take a nice deep breath, Mike. And you can actually feel on the out breath as the stretch becomes a bit deeper. And release. And that is the stretch for the deltoid muscle.
Okay.